What are some of the challenges linebackers are facing in pass coverage, and how did you grade the guys on that the other night?
From the previous game? The thing on our end, some of the challenges were just some of the unique misdirection things, bringing guys back across the formation. So we just had to just continue to keep checking our eyes and make sure eye discipline is where they need to be. And often there weren't a lot of errors from our standpoint. We just have to continue to play and make our plays.
How has Jalen Smith continued to come along, and what has he done to sort of earn a bigger role over the past several weeks?
Yeah, Jalen is really doing a great job, as I would say, earning his sweat equity when it comes to the things that he's doing prior to games from a preparation standpoint. He is awesome being in the room with and around the guys, getting the information, passing along information to the rest of the guys on the team, and he's putting himself in a position to be able to be successful on play in and play out, and really someone who I would say is very reliable and dependable with respect to the things that we need him to be able to do. Turn the page.
Yes. Obviously, earlier in the season, it was Keenan Peely who obviously was the leader on the field, kind of that pre-snap communication. Who do you think's really evolved into that leadership position on the field with his absence?
We're seeing a lot of the leadership really continue to come from Arion Carter and to Jeremiah Thielander. And that's exactly what's supposed to happen from a linebacking core standpoint. We have to be the leaders because our main job is two things. It's leadership and it's production. So we have to be able to grab the bull by the horns, lead the defense, and do everything that we're supposed to do to make sure we can be great on every play. And we've definitely been pleased with the leadership ability from those two guys thus far since we lost Keenan.
Along the same lines, Coach, this is the final regular season home game for the seniors on the team, and you haven't been here a long time, but from what you've seen, talk about the seniors and the leadership that they've produced for this squad.
Well, you know, in any organization or any program, those are the guys who've obviously been around the longest and have put in a lot of sweat and tears and, in some cases, blood. So you always want to make sure that you can have a specific dedication for those young men and or women, whoever's in the program for you, because we have a lot of respect for those guys and the things that they do. You always want to make sure you can go and represent them because there are a few moments in your career that you know you will never forget, and it's something we were talking about with our guys in the meeting room today. You're never going to forget the last game that you played at home. You're never going to forget the last game that you played on the road. And sometimes you're never going to forget your last game overall. And sometimes it could be one of those two. So we just want to do everything we can to make sure that we keep the main thing, have our preparation line where it needs to be, go represent and play for all of those seniors who's really done a great job of helping this program transform over the last 4 to 5 to 6 years.
Coach, up front, Coach up front?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, gotcha. Are you seeing teams try to attack your linebackers being so aggressive and fast and getting vertical up the field and use that against you? And if so, what's the counter to that to be successful when they're trying to do that?
Well, usually that's part of today's college football because how you are on the field, they're always going to try to come after you. So we have to counter that by making sure you're great from an eye discipline standpoint. So there are times where you have to fit a gap, but also make sure your eyes are true because if someone is telling you don't go to this particular area, you have to have your eyes where they need to be so you can really play the next play. And something that we try to do on our end is what we call try to think forward. So when we see a play, we're trying to think about what is going to be the next play and put it in their mind so they can be ready and prepared for what's yet to come. So that way, we've talked about it, we've seen it, or if a new play happens, you'll see everyone on the sidelines like, hey, that play was new for us. But just know that as long as you know and understand your rules and you apply your rules, you're always going to be okay on every given play.
A bit of a follow-up to that. How much are teams trying to deceive you with the motions and the shifts, the extra tight end stuff you've seen in some of these teams? And what are the challenges with that beyond just the eyes? Are they trying to get false steps out of you? What are those things doing to you guys at that second level?
Well, what it tries to create more what we would call inefficiency in movement because they want you to take a false step or a misdirection step. And now it will equalize everything because everybody runs, obviously, as you know, they run so fast. It would equalize them to where if I took one false step to the left and I'm supposed to go to the right, now it gives an offensive lineman or person one more step on me, and they're in front of me getting there instead of me being in front of them. So that's what some of the misdirection things lead to, and that's what we work on from a day-to-day basis. It always starts with our eyes, feet, hands, shoulders, and eyes. Those are the 5 things that we work from a linebacker standpoint on a day-to-day basis, and we call it the Fab 5 for linebackers. If we manage and maximize those things, it will lead to efficient movement, and that's all you want. If you can have efficient movement on the field, you're going to love the results often because most of the time success is going to find you.
Coach, you guys as a defense have obviously played really well over the course of the entire season. You coming into the program, what has impressed you about how Tim Banks has sort of put this defense together and has his defense playing as well as you guys have played throughout the year?
On my end, I feel extremely fortunate because I know I'm probably with one of the best coaches in college football in Tim Banks. So having him and his mind and his leadership around the guys, it just adds to all of us being able to work very good as a staff. So when you have someone like him, you want to work better, you want to work efficient, you want to make sure that everything that we do, the players could be able to experience success on any given play. And that's what you're seeing as we continue to take steps. But believe me, it has been a great blessing to have an opportunity to work for Coach Banks.
Your linebacker room has several underclassmen who have played a lot of football. Do you see inexperience hurting you all at times? Has that tested your patience any in assessing their play?
No, the biggest thing that inexperience does is it allows the slate to be clean. Because for me as a teacher, that's my responsibility to make sure that everything's going to be fine. Now, I have to be able to think forward to see the booby traps as they come. And if I can do that and keep them out of harm's way, then usually some of those conversations are usually going to be pretty minimal. And I take a lot of pride in me doing that for myself and those players because those players have to know I'm going to give them my best because if I give them my best, we'll end up being first most of the time. And it's good to see that they've been able to really experience some of that daily.
With Jeremiah Thielander and Arion Carter kind of both emerging as staples this season, how much do you think them being in the same class, same age, has really fueled each other's growth?
I think that's really good because, number one, you have friendships, and we probably do more teaching and preaching of how you can be when you're away from the building. So those are the 2 guys there. They're kind of like 2 peas in a pod. When you see one, you're going to see the other. And Jalen has become kind of the third stooge. We call them the 3 Stooges because usually you're going to see Larry, Moe, and Curly together walking throughout the building fairly often. And most of the guys didn't even know who the 3 Stooges were. So I had to explain it to them. We had to pull it up on the internet. Seeing those 2 guys work together, and that's what you want from a leadership standpoint. You want those guys to be building and developing together, and we know when we get our other recruits here, that's the message we tell them. This will always start with leadership. I'm going to train you to understand how to be a very good leader, because if you become a very good leader and a very good actor from an action standpoint, most of the time success is going to find you. And that's been one of our biggest recipes to success.